Hi guys, thank you for joining us again as we continue on conversations that help us to better know Captain Zino. My name is MojibadeShow. I'm delighted to be doing this, moderating this very insightful and interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Hi Captain, how are you?
Hey, what's up? I'm good. Pleasure to be here.
Okay, so we're getting closer to the interesting or the more interesting part of the conversation because most people like love talks. I like love talks. I love anything love related. So we'll be talking about your love life, your family, your wife and your daughter. Right. But just before we get into the conversation full on, right, I'd ask you a few questions that help us to know you better on a lighter note. So as a family man, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would that be?
Anywhere devoid of stress, right? So probably not Lagos, right? But stress 24/7, right? I probably just I live in the Maldives.
Ooh, I like.
On a nice island, on a beach somewhere, sipping some nice pina coladas.
That's the life.
You know what I'm saying? Like
that's the life I want.
Just swimming in all this turquoise water.
Wake up to floating breakfast and then
that's it.
Sip some champagne.
That's where I live. That's
awesome. Another question for you: a date at the beach or a date at the cinema?
Beach.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. See, Maldives giving the.
In the cinema, all these guys just shouting out and no time for that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thank you again for joining us. Let's get right into it. How did you meet your wife? And what has marriage been like for you?
How did I meet my wife? Long story. I met her on Instagram. Yeah, like I was scrolling one day.
Hold on, I'm taking notes. Instagram. Okay.
All you young ladies out there, Instagram when 2023, right? Met on Instagram. I was scrolling through. I saw one beautiful damsel. I was like, dang, who is this? And so that's it. I hopped in the DMs. Sent her a DM, she seemed godly, obviously you can never know.
Yeah.
A lot of people nowadays is just daughter of God, but you're living like,
sad screensaver.
But she had a lot of good content on there that was, edifying, glorifying God. She was gorgeous and I was like, yo, why not? So sent the DM, gave us some raps.
You're shooting your shot.
Shooting my shot.
Captain Zino.
But unfortunately, she actually friend zoned me.
Oops.
But like I told you in part one, I am persistent. I'm resilient.
Dogged.
When I see what I want, I
go for it.
I don't go for it.
That quote was for you. When you have a dream, don't let it go. You go for it.
I saw her and yeah, so she friend zoned me. We spoke for a very long time. Because she was in London and I was still working in Nigeria, but I used to live in Norwich in the UK as well. So I was going back and forth, but I was persistent and we were talking, and hey, here we are now, married.
Here we are. 5
years.
Wow.
Yeah.
How's the journey been, marriage in itself and being a father?
Yeah, it's been challenging. I think a lot of times a marriage is really glamorized, right? Like everybody just wants to be married, and it's gonna be like the Disney.
Things.
Do you understand? Like it's gonna be like in the movies, but unfortunately, it's not like that, right? It's challenging. It's rewarding though, right? You have your ups, you have your downs, you have your highs, your lows, but it's been good. I think it's made me into a better man, and I got married at 23,
wow.
Right? And so, you're young and, there's youthful exuberance, you're really, and when you get married, like you have to mature really, really quick. So I'd say that marriage made me mature.
Nice.
Made me learn a lot more about love. I think a lot of times, like I say, we romanticize love, right? But if we go to the Bible, love is patient. Love isn't that feeling, right? That
at all, far from it.
No, far from it, right? Love is sacrifice. For God so loved the world, He did what He gave. So you've got to give, and a lot of times we're wanting to receive, right? So it made me mature a lot quicker than I thought I would. It made me realize, hey, like you're not the only person in this boat. You've been single all your life, right? And now you're with somebody else, and you have to come together.
Right.
And one thing I describe it as is like two worlds colliding when you first come together. It's like you're this entire planet, you're this other planet, and you come together, and eventually, you come to who you guys are as a couple. But it's been fun. I love my wife with all my heart. She's amazing. She's definitely made me into a better man. I think that a lot of people, they come to marriage and they just want to stay the exact same. Like, I am very disorganized. My wife is organized, like to the T.
So complement each other.
Yes. So a lot of the areas which I was falling short in, like she came in and she's my other half, my better half. So. Yeah,
I'm going to cry.
and as a father, wow, that's like, I can't even describe that. My daughter is 15 months now. And I can't describe what it does. Like, it's only when you become a parent that you get it. Like, like before I was a parent, I never kind of got it. Like, this love that these guys have, but when you become a father, you see life completely differently. Makes you a lot more aware, a lot more responsible. I have to be, like, it's not just a case, okay, I want to be a better man, like just saying it. Like, no, like, I have to be, because my daughter, she's watching me. It's crazy, like, you walk and she literally watches how you walk, and she emulates you. Yeah. Do you understand? Like, she looks like me, by the way. She doesn't look like my wife. She looks like me, and just the first time she said Dada, Aww. I was like, wow.
And they always say that first.
Because we are the best.
Dada first. Okay, we'll leave that for another episode.
So it's been really, really good. But I think the most remarkable thing about being a father, especially being a Christian, is it helps you see things from, like, God's perspective. Like, God is your father, and like a lot of times I'm like, wow. So when I'm crying to God, is this how it looks like? Like, I remember one time, my daughter, she I don't know, I think like I was supposed to like be making her food or something, and she was crying, and I was like, yo, the food is coming. And she was crying, and I was like, calm down. I haven't forgotten about you. Like, I know your need, and I'm taking care of your need. You just need to calm down. And I'm like, wow, so maybe that's how it looks like, I'm crying out to God with all my prayer requests. And he's like, yo, calm down. I got you. Chill. So yeah, it's been a good journey so far.
Awesome. And you see why I say that your story is really inspiring and interesting, because you got married at a very early age by societal standards, right? So 23 is quite young for a man. And for you, what you have done is grown through it and also become a better person for it. So it's really good to see. So well done. Well done.
Thank God. Yeah.
So Instagrammers, check your DMs.
You
heard from Captain Zino. You never know. All right. So my next question to you, right, is the fact that you wear several hats. A lot of hats. You're a father, you're a wife, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business coach, you're a mentor to aspiring pilots and even existing pilots. You're a musician, you are a music producer. Wow, I missed other stuff. How do you navigate through these, different parts, and how are you able to stay grounded and just pull through, successfully?
Like we said before, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I think that, I'm just so grateful that I have all these talents, and that I'm in certain positions, in what I do in life. But it's not easy. And I think a lot of people, like, they want it, like, growing up, like, I play piano, I play guitar, I play drums, I do music production, and everyone's like, oh my days, I just wish I had it, but you don't, because what comes with that is a lot of sacrifice. Responsibility. It's a lot of responsibility, and once again, like, it takes time to do these things, and heavy is the head that wears the crown. A lot of people think, oh, this is just so glamorous, it must be, but it's not easy. A lot of times when you just have one thing that you're doing, or you have one talent, it's a lot easier, because you can just focus on that one thing. And I think for me, I've always kind of pressured myself, sometimes positively and negatively, like, oh my days, like, I have all these gifts, all these talents, like, what am I gonna do? It's so funny, because while we were setting up for this, I started dancing, right? And shout out Simeon, our top cinematographer. He was like, what, you dance as well? And I was like, yeah, like, I dance, and I dance quite well, if I do say so myself. Well, my wife doesn't think I dance well, but we can agree to disagree on that one, right? But it's like, that's another thing. Like, what are you gonna do with that gift? And so it's really challenging trying to find a balance, because what happens a lot of times is, like, we only have 24 hours in a day, right? We only have 365 days in a year. right? So sometimes I get, I won't say I get down, but I get a bit discouraged because I'm like, oh man, like, yeah, I've done a lot better in this, but I'm neglecting this. Okay, I'm neglecting this. Okay, how about your marriage? You know, because all of these things take time, right? You got to invest in your marriage. And so it's very challenging balancing everything. But as time goes on, you get to know yourself a bit better, right? Be honest with yourself, right? Know your capabilities, know what you can handle. And sometimes I just have to focus on some things and just neglect other things. You know, there's a time for everything.
Right.
And I used to think before I had to do every single thing right now. I've got to be the best musician right now, the best music producer right now. I'm the best athlete right now. I've got to be the best entrepreneur, you know, running a multi-million-dollar company right now. And you can't have everything right now.
At once.
So pace yourself. And it's one thing I learned from my dad, you know, a lot of times, right? Like, he would just tell me, hey, one hurdle at a time. Why are you focused on the last hurdle? Just jump the one that's in front of you, look up, see the next one, then you jump that one.
Right.
And so that's why I try to implement it in my life.
Okay, great, thank you. So I'm going to focus on two major things that you do, or two of the things that you do, right? So your music career, how did you start? How did you venture? How did the dream come about? You know, the whole music thing. And then you're also a music producer. You're a musician and a music producer, wearing double hats in that music space.
Yeah.
How did the dream come about, and what do you hope to achieve with it?
Ironically, I actually used to hate music, right? So when I was about, I don't know, like, how old was I? Maybe like 7, 8, 9, you know, my dad, he got my brother and I to do, you know, music lessons, piano, guitar. I hated the guitar because it used to hurt my fingers, right? So keyboard, I was kind of cool with that, you know, but, you know, I had a music teacher, I didn't like him, we used to beef, and eventually I just ended up, you know, dropping music, you know, and I neglected it for years, never played keyboard again and everything. But when I was in high school or secondary school in the UK, like, they had this piano. I said, no, let me try again. I started to play a little bit and, you know, create my own songs, my own melodies. I tell people, like, I didn't do too great in school. And, you know, I'm not advocating this, by the way, right? But, like, when I got into my A-levels, used to have these things called free periods, right? So, you know, in secondary school, before then, you know, it's like you're in class every back to back. But now you had free periods. So I started to even bunk class. Like, I'm supposed to be going to economics lesson, I was just playing keyboard, you know, and then, Zino, aren't you supposed to be in a class? I'm like, free period, you know, God forgive me for lying, you know, but, you know, it's a lot more experience there. And in doing so, I just began to learn how to play keyboard. I began to grow, and a passion came for that. And then what now happened was, I heard about people, how they produce music, but I was always curious, how did they do it? But I didn't have, you know, the money to, like, buy all this expensive equipment or whatever. So I found a way that, you know, I would just, like, beatbox, because I beatbox. That's another one of my gifts. I can be like,
okay, Captain.
Okay, come on, right? So what I would do is I would come up with the idea, I would beatbox the idea, I'd beatbox it into my phone, right? And once I had that, you know, I've now got, you know, what I want it to become. And I just started to learn music production, and I've been doing it from, like, how long now? Maybe about 10, 12 years.
Wow.
And yeah.
Wow.
So I still have a long way to go. I'm not like major professional or whatever, but I'm happy.
So what does the future hold for that side of your life, the music side of your life?
I think the future holds, that's ultimately what I want to end up doing. Like, don't get me wrong, I love business, I love entrepreneurship, you know, I love flying, I love mentoring and doing all these things, but where my passion lies is just music. I make Christian music. Some people, they ask me, like, okay, what genre do you make? And I say, I don't really have a genre, right? I can make Afro beats, I can make drill, I can make R&B, like, everything, but so long as the message is the message of Christ and it's Christian music, I just put it in there. And so eventually the goal is to be able to be completely financially independent, you know, and like just focus on music, because I think I am kind of called to that, you know. I remember, like, years back, before I even started music production, you know, I used to really lament, because when it comes to the Christians making music, right, like, I want to be really respectful, but it just wasn't it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been listening to it and I'm like, this isn't kind of what I'm looking for, what I'm seeking. Like, the music was, you know, kind of, it wasn't popping. Let's put it that way.
In millennial terms, it wasn't giving.
It wasn't
Gen
giving.
Z terms.
Yeah, I'm millennial too, so and the thing about it was, I remember I was talking to my cousin Michelle. We were on a cruise somewhere in the Bahamas, right? And I was talking to her and I was lamenting. I was like, hey, you know what? Like, I just wish that there were some Christian musicians who would make this type of music, right? That still fully encapsulates the gospel, right? With good theology, because there's a lot of, Christian music out there, and it might sound good, but the theology is, heretical, right? I was like, I want good Christian music, good theology, right? But it needs to be on point, right? And she said something and it hit me. I felt as if God was just talking to me immediately. And she said, maybe that's what you're supposed to do. If no one's doing it, why don't you do it? And I was like, whoa. And I literally ran with that.
Awesome stuff. Nice. Yeah. All right, so the other part I will focus on is your business, which is Zino Aviation.
Yeah.
Now, what is the vision for Zino Aviation? One, so I'm going to ask you a 3-in-1 question.
Okay.
What is your vision for the brand? One, there is no business without its challenges. So if you look back now, what challenges have you encountered in your journey? And looking ahead, what is the future for Zino Aviation? So let's say in the next 10 years.
Okay. So I think maybe I'll start with the challenges and then just work my way up. Yeah.
That laughter.
Yeah,
says a lot.
there were a crazy amount of challenges. You see, the thing about Zino Aviation and what we do is, it's not. I wouldn't even describe it as a niche market. It's a hyper niche market. It is so specific and so specialized. And what this basically means is that nobody's done it before. It's not as if, literally in Africa, we're the only people doing this. Globally, and there might be people that might do 1 or 2 things that might be slightly similar, but when you bring everything together, our goals, our visions, and all the services we offer and everything, nobody's doing this. There's somebody in Europe that does something similar, and so, and you just don't know what to do. And so remember I spoke about you just got to take the first hurdle in front of you. And I think from an entrepreneurship side of view, there's just nothing to emulate. So everything's just trial and error, right? It's trial and error. You try this, you try this, you try this. You don't even know, who your target market is, your exact target market. So you've got to adjust and try. You've got to do different services, different things. And so it's not been short of challenges. It takes a lot of time. I spend a lot of time talking to people. Like we spoke about earlier, I did 300 calls in a year, consultancy, just talking. So it can be draining, but it's really, really rewarding. When you see people, succeeding. There's a guy who he's on my mentorship program, and he finally became a pilot, and he was in the cockpit, and he sent me a picture of himself flying, and I was like, wow. I've
That's
played,
like seeing your baby.
Yeah, and I was like, I've played a role in that. But from a business side of view, it's been challenging, but we've just grown, and the growth, it started off really, really slow, but we currently where we are now, it's God is good. Let's put it that way.
God is good.
I think, where do we see ourselves in 10 years time? I see us global. Like I've told you, you jump the hurdle in front of you, right? And you don't just rush and expand and everything. But we're in a place that we get inquiries from all over the globe, right? We now do logistics management services, for airlines and for governments who want to train pilots and all this kind of stuff. So it's just to take it step by step, keep on growing, and who knows, maybe I end up having flight school one day, right? Or end up at it's not just flight training we do a lot of other stuff as well, aviation management, asset management, a lot of other stuff. So
yeah,
honestly,
I looked through your website and I was wowed. I was impressed.
Thanks,
I was like, interesting.
Thanks.
Great. Well done.
If anybody would have told us or told me, that I would be here where I am right now, right? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have been a little bit reluctant to believe them. So I don't like to say this is where I'm going to be in 10 years, because who knows where you're going to be in 10 years apart from God.
Apart from God.
That's awesome. It.
We move. All right. So we learn every day, but what is the biggest lesson you have learned in life so far?
Wow. Biggest lesson I've learned in life. I actually don't know. I've learned a lot of lessons. What I say is the biggest lesson I've learned in life. In life.
Or,
Wow.
or have you had any eureka moments recently? Any aha moments? Like,
Oh, yeah. Okay,
so
yeah.
would you like to share? Okay.
Yeah, I've had some aha moments. I think one of my big aha moments was I learned that, check this out, you don't need more money, you need a change in strategy, right? And when I learned this, it was like a eureka moment. You know, many years ago, I designed like a social network, right? I was working, you know, flying, you know, making money, and I literally invested all my money in this. I spent about over £10,000, right? Designing like this tech website and everything. And it was really, really cool, right? Because, you know, I don't get too technical, right? But it worked, right? We literally created adverts, right? To advertise the service, and we, you know, put it on like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, all that kind of stuff. So it was like running on autopilot. People see the ads, right? They click on the ad, they come to your service, they say, oh wow, this is good service, they pay for it. So like I would literally go to bed and like I wake up in the morning, ping, 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 what? Like PayPal, 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 PayPal.
Wow.
Like money was coming in, and I was like, whoa.
Money.
Like, wow. I was really, really impressed, and like all my years of hard work had gone into this, and it was doing well. But then now became a problem. When the people were paying and they were coming on, the user experience wasn't necessarily the best, right? And so I was like, okay, you know what? I've got to take in all their feedback and make all these changes, right? But me, like I told you, I spent over 10 grand on this, you know, website, and I was paying these guys in India who were designing it for me remotely. So when all the people who were coming in, you know, had all these problems, I was like, okay, you know what? We need to change this, and we need to change this and change this. And then they were like, okay, that's going to cost you $500 to make that change. I was like, just to make one change, yeah, $500. Okay, how about this change? $300, $500. I was like, okay, this is not sustainable, right? And so to, you know, make sure that the people, you know, didn't have a bad experience, I said it's better that we shut down the site. And so I was lamenting like, oh man, I just wish I had more money. If I had more money, right, I'd be able to make all these changes, right, and then do it. And so one day I was talking to my brother, right, and my brother was like, Zino, but why did you do it this way? I was like, what do you mean? He says, why didn't you just go and partner from the very beginning, right, with, you know, a web developer who would have and you just give them equity in your business, right? So hey, you know what, you do all the developing stuff, here's 20% of the business, and they would have done it for you for free.
Absolutely.
And I was like, I never thought about that, right? And I learned, right, that a lot of times in life, right, we're thinking, if only I had this, if only I had more money, I would be able to accomplish this. I'd be able to do this in my business. And it's like, no, just change your strategy. Whatever it is that you want to accomplish, or anyone else that's watching this wants to accomplish, and you feel like you're stuck, there's always a way. You just gotta kind of stick to it. So I think that was a big aha moment.
There's always a way.
For me. And then I'd say the second aha moment, we've spoken about it briefly, was problems. And I said problems equals possibilities. Problems equals profit. Problems, like a lot of times we focus on the problems. I realize, hey, if I just want to be successful, right? If I want to, you know, be successful in this element, right? Just identify problems. And there are problems on a micro level, there are problems on a macro level. Like everybody has problems. I said, if I can just simply take some time out, sit back, think of the solution to it, then profit and all those kind of things are going to follow afterwards. And that was another, you know, aha moment. I've had loads, you know. So.
Okay, thanks for sharing with us. So you have a daughter now.
Yeah.
Do you look forward to having more kids?
No.
I didn't see that coming.
Nope, I don't. I'm done.
Okay.
Except the Lord has, you know, other, you know, ideas, but, you know, no, I'm done. Yeah. One is more than enough, you know. I think, and sometimes it seems selfish, you know, and I think a lot of times what we usually hear is, what do you mean only one? Then who will she play with? Right? She's gonna be lonely.
She has toys.
She has, and I think above all, she has us. And I think a lot of times, you know, when, you know, obviously I'm not going to judge other parents or whatever, right? But a lot of times I feel that there's this, okay, well, just go play with your sibling. And so what now happens is your sibling becomes, or their sibling becomes the person that they just occupy each other. And I want to really bond with my daughter. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just say, hey, go play with your toys or whatever. Like, I want to be there. And that's why the whole financial freedom thing is important to me, right? Not just working, no, but to also build those finances to enable me to have free time to be with my daughter. I want to attend every recital, whatever she does. If she plays sports, I want to be there, right? I want to spend as much time as possible and fully invest. And just me personally, everyone's different. I just kind of feel that the more that you also have, right? Like there's only one Zino. So if I have now like 5 kids, right? How is that going to work in terms of like, the distribution and everything? But hey, that's just my personal, but yeah, I'm done.
Okay, awesome. That's a very interesting perspective. Noted. As we start to wrap this up, right, I have one question for you. With your years of experience and exposure right now, and if you had to advise your younger self, what piece of advice will you give?
Wow. Quite a lot, to be honest.
Okay, shoot, let's go.
I'd say 1, skills and knowledge. I would have spent a lot of time. I would tell my younger self, hey man, acquire skills and knowledge. Knowledge is power, so people think it's not. Applied knowledge is power, right? So I would say get knowledge. With your knowledge, get skills. When you get skills, you become more valuable. And when you're more valuable, you become assets to people, and people need you. A lot of people are just expecting to just make money or be successful. It's like, okay, but what do you bring to the table? What's so special about you? What do you have that other people don't have? So I would definitely tell myself to invest, and like I do a lot of mentoring. I mentor a lot of young people. Wow, that makes me sound old, right? but I mentor a lot of young people, and I tell them, hey, skills. I always ask them, I say, hey, what are the 2 biggest universities in the world? And they always say Oxford and Cambridge. And I say, you're wrong. Google and YouTube. There's nothing you want to learn right now in the entire world. If you want to learn how to build a space shuttle, right? There are people on YouTube that will teach you for free. If you want to learn anything, how to become the best lady MC ever, right? Okay. You can just go there and you can acquire skills free of charge. So I definitely tell myself, acquire as many skills as possible so you can become the very best you can be. I would also tell myself to calm down, right? Like I said, when you're younger, there's a lot of youthful exuberance. Yes. I'm somebody that I've always been like an optimist, right? And I believe in life you should be optimistic, right? If you're not optimistic, you're not going to achieve anything, right? However, I think there's being an optimist, and then there's also living in la la land, right? And I think in my younger days, I literally just lived in la la land. Like I really thought, hey, by the time I'm 23, I'm gonna be a multi-millionaire, I'm gonna do this. I'd have done 10 businesses concurrently at the same time, and I was very driven in that regard. And you also need to be realistic. Not realistic in a pessimistic way, but realistic way and says, okay, your goals are possible, right? But let's add a little bit of structure there. How are you gonna get there? Everything in life is step by step, right? So calm down, focus on the step in front of you, get to that step, then the next step, and then the next step. What else do I tell myself? I would tell myself, finally, not to spend so much time chasing football because it's not going to work out, so that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you so much. And finally,
wow,
when people meet you, what do you want to be remembered for? So when you walk into a room, spend some time, when you leave, what do you want people to say about you?
Interesting question. To be honest, I don't really care, right? But
not like that.
Not like that.
Cares,
but I'm joking with you. I think what I would like them to remember me for is that young man is on a mission. All my life I've been on a mission. I'm a big believer in destiny. I'm a big believer in what God has in store for me, and I think sometimes it's palpable. Do you understand what I'm saying? Sometimes I think people can kind of feel it. Do you understand? And I'm driven. I'm on a mission. And I think when people leave, they should be like, hey, you know what? Wherever you're going, I want to come with you, right? I don't know where you're going, but I can feel where you're going, and I want to come with you. And so for me, I'm really big on impact, right? My desire is to impact as many lives as possible, physically, spiritually, financially, whatever it is, right? I want every person that I meet, I want them to leave and they're better. They're in a better state of mind. Maybe I've helped renew their mind, right? Or maybe I've helped them in one way or another. I just want them to feel that impact. And if I can reach even just one person, I'm happy with that.
That's good. Thank you so much. So I've had a great time speaking to Captain Zino on a mission.
Hey.
I hope you've also been inspired as much as I have. Listening to him talk about, his journey, his dreams, his aspirations have been very, very inspiring and encouraging for me. This has been really good. I wish you all the very best in all your endeavors.
You too. Shout out Mojibade, the lady MC. You done though.
Thank you so much, and thank you for watching this. Goodbye.